Hi everybody, it's Dr. Debbie Pates here, and we will get started doing yoga in a minute. If you have a strap, that would be good, so grab a strap. I will be right back, and then we'll start practicing. All right, welcome to Wellness Wednesday, oh my goodness, it might even be number 20, which is pretty incredible that for the last, and I know I skipped at least 2 weeks, so for the last, almost half a year, we've been dealing with COVID and working remotely and making accommodations for that. So hang in there, guys. Really, right? My name's Debbie. I am a psychologist at the Wellness Center at the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs. And for the last number of years, I've been privileged to offer Wellness Wednesdays as a collaboration between the Wellness Center and the Gallery of Contemporary Arts, also on campus. Hopefully we will be doing some outside events before the weather gets too cold, although we've already had a snowstorm, so who really knows what's going to happen, but it's Colorado. So, you've probably also been reading a lot of literature about how, when a trauma happens, we have that acute phase and then we recover. But what we're going through right now, all of us during this pandemic, is this ongoing, this never-ending seeming trauma. And yes, of course, sometimes it's worse than others, but it's not going away. And so when I say hang in there, I really mean that. I mean, give yourselves some grace to go through what you're feeling. Give yourselves grace if you're not in the kind of physical shape you were before COVID, or if your summer looked really different, or whatever it is, right? Yoga is about being kind to yourself, touching base, being real. And so let's practice being real. I am going to borrow somebody else's practice today. I have it written down here. I ran through it really quickly before, so hopefully I'll be able to do it fairly smoothly with you guys today. Like I said earlier, if you have a strap, you might want to use that. We'll be doing cow face arms, and if you're like me and you can't clasp your hands behind your back, a strap can be really helpful with that to make up the gap. If you don't have a strap, a towel or a sock or a shirt or anything. One more little note before we start practicing. My computer is balanced somewhat precariously. I didn't quite time to run around and find books and stuff that I was hoping to put it on, so I hope my computer doesn't fall over in the middle of this practice, but if it does, I'll just get up and fix it, and that's enough of me talking. Let's start in child's pose. So bring your knees either together or wide. Let your forehead rest on the mat. Maybe if your knees are together, you have your arms alongside your body, palms facing up. Or you might prefer, in whichever position your knees are, to extend your arms out in front of you. And I invite you to tap into your breath and really give yourself that moment that it takes to begin to create a space of yoga. So we can be running around and busy and throw our running shoes on and go out the door and be on a run and get in that groove. It's a little bit different with yoga. We need to quiet down. So perhaps right now use your breath. In child's pose, your breath is close by your body, or your, well, yeah, I mean, your face is on the mat. So our face is on the mat. We feel our breath a lot when we wear masks. Notice that when I wear a mask, I hold my jaw differently. I think I'm going to record a little bit of jaw stretching soon, but so become aware of that. Maybe here in child's pose, let yourself kind of scrunch your face up a little bit. You open your mouth wide. You roll your forehead back and forth along the floor. And really drop into that quieter space that gives us the room, that space that gives us the room to do all of that self-reflection, the space that allows us to be present on that rather than thinking about what was or imagining what will be, all of which are very human things to be doing. But if you're thinking about the past or you're fantasizing about the future, you aren't in the present. So drop into the present. And the breath is possibly the absolute best tool, the ultimate tool we use to drop into the present. Because we just focus on our inhale and our exhale. And the breath isn't thinking about how jagged it was yesterday. And the breath isn't thinking about how smooth it might be tomorrow. The breath just is here in the present. So use it to ground yourself. And now, from child's pose, if your arms are alongside your body, stretch them out in front of you. Tuck your toes, lift your knees, come into down dog, and let's pedal it out if you want. Everything I say is a suggestion. If you don't want to do that, don't. But if you do, bend one knee and let the opposite heel sink down, and then switch. Keep your breath flowing. Imagine, don't imagine that. It's kind of an unpleasant image. But here, imagine that somebody's really gently hooking their thumbs kind of in this hip crease and pulling up and back, really elongating your back from the tips of your fingers all the way to your end of your tailbone. Maybe you bend your knees a little bit and push into your hands even more. And lift your tailbone a little bit more, lifting up beneath your navel. And then you guys, drop your left knee. Drop your left knee to the ground. And spin your right foot flat and lift your right arm up to the sky. So a modified side plank here. So take it easy. We're just starting the practice. Maybe, but you can still engage, right? So that doesn't mean you're going to be as warm or as flexible as you will be later, but you can still be putting in the effort, really pushing your right foot into the ground and lifting up out of your left shoulder, reaching with your right hand, and then bring your right hand down, lift your left leg up behind you, right leg, up behind you, and lift your left hand out in front of you. And create some traction here. Maybe lifting your arms and legs up, you can get a nice glute engagement in the right side of your butt here, working your left shoulder as you lift up, inhaling, breathing, and then just put it down. And let's switch sides. So lengthen out your left leg and roll onto your right side into that modified plank again, lifting up your left arm toward the sky. And making a choice with your neck. Do you want to be looking down or do you want to be looking up? And if up is a little bit uncomfortable, maybe that's okay. Maybe that's a stretch that your neck needs right now. But if it hurts, then that's different. Bring your left arm down, lift your left leg up, extend your right arm out, reach. You want your right thumb facing up. And again, perhaps you lift, getting a nice engagement in your left gluteal muscle, lifting up, getting some engagement in your right shoulder. You're not going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but you're keeping your body moving and healthy. And then put your arm and your legs down and tuck your toes again. Come on back to downward facing dog. And take a couple of breaths. Really allowing yourself to move into that space of yoga. So important to deliberately carve out that space when we're practicing at home, right? When we work at home, we eat at home, we exercise at home, and we do our yoga at home. And yoga is a practice, an exercise practice, but it's a mindfulness practice as well. So be mindful of creating that space for yourself. Rock forward to high plank, and then slowly lower all the way to the ground. And when you get down, untuck your toes. Maybe you rotate your thighs inward a little bit so that the tops of your pinkies are on the mat. And then roll your shoulders up and back and down. And we're going to do a couple of cobras. So I encourage you on this first cobra, as you inhale, to not use your hands. So come on up. Keep your pinky toes on the ground too. So using just your back muscles, and then come on down. You don't get a whole lot of lift most likely, and then let's do that again. Inhale, come on up. Notice if you're pushing your stomach into the ground to try to lift a little higher. Come on up. And then this time, if you want, use your hands. But if you're using your hands as you come up into cobra, pull your chest forward and your shoulders back at the same time. So you're not lifting straight into your low back. Come on down. Again, lift whichever way you want. Come on back down and run your arms alongside your body, palms facing down. And then on an inhale, lift everything you can. But don't just think about lifting, please. Think about lengthening as well. So your fingers and your toes reaching back before they reach up. And the crown of your head reaching forward. You want your neck soft, so you're glancing down at the floor. Unless you can look up without creating strain in your neck. Another inhale, lift, just like we were doing before, lifting arms and legs up, engaging back muscles, and then come on down. Put your hands in cobra one more time. You might need to reset your legs. And then let's lift up into cobra. So not upward facing dog, cobra. Your thighs and your hips stay on the ground. Maybe your elbows are in close to your body. Breathe. And then lower down. Tuck your toes. Push up. One push up. Lift your hips. Downward facing dog. And walk to ragdoll. Take a bunch of baby steps. Come to the top of your mat. And let's just hang for a moment here. Really enjoying the stretch through the back of the legs. Or at least if you're not enjoying it, noticing it, feeling it. So we're going to feel things differently, each of us, right? So you may need to straighten your legs more to feel more of a stretch, or rock your legs back and forth. And maybe some of you guys are barely even bending down at all and feeling an incredible stretch. So honoring where you are, because it's where you are anyway. Why make yourself miserable? Roll up to standing. When you get to standing, shoulders up and back and down, and then lift your arms up overhead and bring your hands together and pull that energy into your heart. 2 sun A's. Inhale your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. If my breath cues mess you up, just remember to breathe. Halfway lift, inhale. Hands down, step back, high plank. Lower chaturanga or all the way to the floor. And then inhale, cobra again or upward facing dog. And then lift your hips. Push your hands into the floor, downward facing dog. Roll the weight into your pointer, finger, and your thumb. Let your shoulders go down your back. Look up to the top of your space. Make your way there. Jump, step, hop, walk, halfway lift, inhale. Forward fold, lengthen. With a flat back, rise. Sweep your arms out, up, palms together above you, palms into your heart. Arms up, fall forward, rise, plank to chaturanga or all the way down to the floor. Up dog or cobra, always your choice. Downward facing dog. All right, here's where it's going to get fun. All right, from downward facing dog, open up, lift your right leg. Lift your right leg, bend your knee, open up your hip. So making the circles that we do sometimes here, if you want. Nothing is going to be too different. It's just a different mix and a much longer sequence than I usually do. Okay, so bring your right leg back up here, and then bring your right leg to your left elbow. So across your body. Pause here and straighten out your right leg. Put the pinky edge of your right leg on the floor. So you can pause here. A lot of us are going to feel a very strong stretch on the IT band. If you want an even stronger stretch, you can bend your elbows a little bit. Pause here. Breathe. Breathe into sensation. What if you could think of it as just sensation? Not too much, not unbearable, just something you're feeling. And then if your elbows are bent, straighten them again. Similar to a different version of modified side plank. Right hand stays on the ground and lift your left leg back up. Left arm on arm. Left arm back up. Left leg back up would be pretty tricky in this posture. Sorry about that. And then, breathe. Arm to the sky. Looking up. Or maybe looking down. And then bring your left arm back down to the floor. Lift your right leg back up. You guys, nice job. Three-legged dog. From three-legged dog, shift forward and bring your right knee to your right tricep. Pause. Lift up three-legged dog. Bring your right knee to your forehead. Bring it back up. Bring your right knee to your right tricep, and then this time put your foot down on the outside of your right hand. Drop your left knee and come on down into runner's lunge. Breathe. So maybe you can bend your elbows so much that your forearms are on the ground. Maybe you don't have a lot of movement here. You're looking for an opening in your hips. So wherever you're finding that today, please, I really encourage you, honor that. Honor that. Not what you think it should be, but what it is. Right? You are where you are anyway. It doesn't make sense to be mean to yourself about it. Do you wish you looked the way you did when you went to the gym every day before COVID? Maybe, I don't know. But if you don't, being mean to yourself doesn't change that. It just makes you feel bad. Okay, come on up if you were down. Toe heel your right foot in so that it's you got one hand on either side of that foot. Tuck your left toes, lift your left knee, and come on up, crescent. Push your left hip forward as you send your left heel back. Sink into your right knee. You want to have your heel and your knee lined up. And then we're going to get a little bit buoyant. We're going to move from this crescent into airplane. So when you are ready, using some momentum, launch. Lift up onto your right leg. Bring your right arms behind you. Lift your arms, lift your left leg. Gazing at one point, focus, always. Drishti helps with your balance. And we're going to come to standing. Don't put your left leg down. Bring your left leg in front of you. I got to move back a little. Bring your left leg in front of you and extend it out. Lift your arms up. Try to lean forward, not back. Well, really, you're just trying to stand up straight rather than lean back. And then back to airplane. See if you can do it without touching your foot. And if you can't, who cares? You just see if you can do it. And then back to crescent. Woo. Left foot down, arms up. First land here in crescent. And then bring your arms down. Bring your left hand to the inside of your right foot and open up. Lift your right arm to the ground. Lift your right arm to the sky with your left arm on the ground, a twist. And breathe, and we'll pause here for a moment. So again, check in with your neck. Do you want to look up or do you want to look down? We want to create as much mobility, not just now, not just for looking at our thumb because who cares, but because we want our bodies to be functional for the rest of our lives. Bring your right hand down, come out of the twist, and then scoot your left foot in a little bit and straighten or straighten-ish your right leg, pyramid pose. So a huge stretch along the back of your right leg for most people, maybe feeling it in your right glute. Try to have your left heel on the mat and back foot is facing a bit forward here. And then, actually keep your left hand down. Let's do twisting triangles. So from this pyramid pose, keep your left hand down. Just keep it under your left shoulder for today. Unless you feel like you want to take it further. But lift your right arm up. Keep your left hip lifting. Try to keep your sacrum even. And lift your right hand. Just a gentle twist, balance, muscular engagement. Just using our body. And then come on down. And come to wide-legged forward fold. So walk your body down the middle. And maybe widen your feet out a little bit and keep your feet parallel to each other. I'm trying to remember what we're doing here. Just you guys hang out a minute here. Okay, this is good. Hang out down the middle and then crawl your way over to your left leg. And bring your left forearm behind your left calf. And if you can, bring your right arm to the outside of your right ankle, or your left ankle rather. And you can even kind of rest your head on your right arm if you want. Cradling your head with your own bicep as you get some nice deep movements. Breathing, and then come on back to the center and lift up halfway. Bring your hands to your waist. Stand up and take a break right here. If you're going to use your strap for the cow face arms, grab that. And then come to warrior two to the back of your mat. So turn your left foot to the back of your mat. And warrior two to the back of your mat. Take a reverse warrior. Reverse warrior. Reaching, reaching, reaching. And then come back, warrior two. Straighten your legs out again. Sorry, my back is too, guys. And we're going to do wide-legged forward bend again, but we're going to use cow face arms. So lift your right arm up, and if you need the strap, have the strap dangling from your right arm. And then take your left hand behind your back, bend your elbow, and reach, trying to clasp fingertips. And then bow forward again. Allowing your breath to help you land in the pose. I forgot one move we were going to do, so I'll just add it in here. And then come on, stand up. Release your arms. Warrior two, back to the front of your mat. Reach forward and take extended side angle. So your left arm is reaching up, and your left arm was just behind your back. So you might want to make some circles with your left arm to kind of release your shoulder there. Maybe you want to take the time here to roll your rib cage open and up. And then come on back, come to warrior one. So turn your left foot forward a little bit. Bring your arms up, bring your biceps by your ears. And then here's a cool transition. Come on down to the floor. Come up on your left toes, but then drop your left knee and come on into pigeon. So toe heel, your right foot over to the left side. And then just make whatever adjustments you need to be in pigeon pose. And land here. Land in pigeon. So you know that we have that whole other side to go. And a lot of times pigeon is a posture that we do toward the end of the practice, and then we do one side and then the other. So just checking in with yourself with how you may be having any reactions to this practice, to me being less smooth because I'm using someone else's cue sheet. Maybe you're like, wow, this is really cool. Maybe, just whatever is showing up for you. It doesn't have to be any of that stuff I just suggested. But whatever's showing up for you, allowing it to be, being present with it, being kind to yourself. And if it's mean stuff, like, oh, I suck, or, whatever, fill in the blank, then just notice, look at me go, saying mean stuff to myself. Isn't that interesting? You don't have to launch into, additional commentary. Just, isn't that interesting? Me being mean to myself. Or even just, isn't that interesting? And then you let go of that thought. All right, you guys. Come on up. From pigeon, tuck your left toes. Lift your left knee. Send your right foot back. See if you can just go right back into plank here. And then you have a choice. Do you want to go into lift your hips right up into downward facing dog, or come forward and do a vinyasa and then land in downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths in down dog. You can always drop to child's pose and take a couple of breaths there if you prefer. But take a few breaths, and if there's any differences from one side of your body to the other, just perhaps make note of that. Perhaps you don't feel anything, and you just make note of that, or maybe you just breathe. All right, time for the other side. Lift your left leg. Bend your left knee. Open up your hip. Any circles that feel good to you, go ahead and make those circles. And then lift your left leg back up and shift forward. Bring your left knee to your right elbow. Pause here and then straighten out your left leg, pinky edge of your left foot on the mat. Spin your right foot flat and rise up back to this modified side plank. So this is a pose, or a flow rather, that I copied from Bryan Kest. It was on video and I just wrote it down, which is kind of cumbersome. He does these very long sequences. Oh, I forgot something. So bring your right hand back down and pause here. Feeling that IT band stretch. We'll just do it after instead of before. Feeling that IT band stretch. And if you were like, oops, she forgot that and you already did it, then you just make your own adjustments. Maybe bend your elbows a little bit to intensify the stretch. Wherever you are, keep breathing. And then straighten your elbows. Three-legged dogs. Bring your left leg back up behind you and bring your left knee down the center. Pause. Bring your left leg back up. Bring your left knee to your left tricep. Pause. Bring your left knee back up. Bring your left knee back to your left tricep, and this time put your left foot down, drop your right knee, your arms are inside your left foot, runner's lunge. Taking a few deep breaths in whatever shape your body is in today. Taking a few deep breaths in this shape. Just being present, being patient, being as non-judgmental as you can be with yourself here. And why? Why do we care? Well, for a lot of reasons. It doesn't make sense to be mean to yourself. We all do it, but it's not very helpful. But also because if we catch ourselves and we catch these patterns on the mat, then we're starting to develop a habit, and we can catch ourselves in these patterns off the mat. Come on up if you were down, and we're going to move into crescent lunge. So bring your left foot back center. Bring one hand on either side of that left foot. Tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, and using core engagement, whatever else engagement, rise up, crescent lunge. Move your right hip forward and push your right heel back. Lift your arms up, but be aware if you're poking out your rib cage. Maybe you tuck the bottom ribs in a little bit. Lifting your arms up, sinking your body down, and then get ready to get buoyant and go flying in the airplane. Lift your right leg up, shift forward. Engaging one more time, the back side of your body. Reaching through your fingers and your toes, going backwards as your head reaches forward. Really dynamic here. And then let's come into that one-legged balance. So teeter-totter up. Bring your right leg out in front of you and your arms above your head. Try not to lean back. Try to stand up straight. Reaching, creating length. And you come out of your left hip a little bit. So you lift your leg as high as you can. Doesn't have to be straight out. You just lift your leg and then come back airplane. Breath and then step. Oh, it's fine, airplane. And then step back into crescent again. And from crescent, come forward, bring your right hand down and your left arm up, twist. Feeling it where you feel it. Noticing as non-judgmentally as possible, whatever thoughts come up. Turning your head up, turning your head down, whatever you like. And then bring your left hand down. Scoot your right foot forward a little bit, pyramid pose. So you're straightening as best as you can both of your legs while you forward over your left leg. That's the pose. Your feet are mostly facing forward. How's your breath? Please breathe. Please breathe. Folding over your left leg. Breathing. Folding over your left leg. That's what we got going on. And then come to a little bit of a halfway lift. Keep your right hand underneath your right shoulder. Maybe you have it on a block or water bottle. Twisting triangle. Lift your left arm up. So again, you can take a more intense version of this posture, but this is what I'm going to suggest for right now. Just a little bit mellower one here. And then bring your left hand down. Turn your toes to parallel. Walk your body down. And you might, we're coming into Prasarita, wide-legged forward bend. So probably you want to widen your stance. And then maybe this one, clasp your hands behind your back. And allow your hands to come off your back. Taking a moment or two here to enjoy how this feels. And then keeping your forward fold, bring your hands back and down in front of you and walk over to your right leg. And grab on, bring your right calf, forearm behind your right calf. Grab onto the outside of your left ankle, right ankle, with your left arm. And maybe you can rest your head in your left bicep. You do what you can. What else can you do? Come on back center and come to a halfway lift. Inhale here. Exhale, bring your hands to your waist with a flat back. Stand up and come to warrior two to the back of your mat. So your right leg is forward this time. Flip your right palm, reverse your warrior. Let it feel good, bending your right knee, reaching your right arm behind you, letting it feel good. And then come on back to warrior two. Grab your strap. And we're going to come back to Prasarita, this time with the opposite arm. So take your strap in your left hand this time, if you're using it. Otherwise, bring your left elbow either way. Left elbow by your left elbow by your left ear, knock, right, left. Drop your arm behind your back. Take your right arm and bring it to your side, and then up and behind. So for right-handed people, this side is usually much more challenging. Lift your chest, inhale, and come on forward and just breathe. Breathe into the sensation. Breathe into what you're feeling. Try not to make too many judgments. That's one thing that's nice about practicing at home is Many of us are just practicing alone, maybe not even with a mirror. And come on back up and release your arms. Prasarita. Let go of your strap. Warrior 2 to the front of your mat. Reverse your warrior. Come on back to warrior 2, extended side angle. And again, this time now you got your right arm up. Right arm was just behind your back. So perhaps you want to make some circles in one direction or the other, kind of helping release whatever tension might have been created in that cow face arms. Come on back to warrior 2, warrior 1. So your biceps are by your ears. You're trying to take your right hip and move it more forward. Warrior 1 is a closed hip position. And then bring your arms down. And let's come on into pigeon. Drop your right knee. Bring your left foot across to the right side. And pigeon pose. Breathe. Ooh. So you made it through both sides. I made it through both sides of that very long flow. I'm just checking in. I wanted to share something a little bit different with you guys. If you liked that, I'm happy to share any of his resources with you. Just send me a message and I'll get that information to you. There's a website that you can subscribe to. I'm a big fan. Breathe, relax, open your hip. Really just letting yourself get juicy with pigeon here. I'm still here. I'm just giving you guys space. That's kind of the tricky thing about teaching online is I know that when I'm quiet for too long, that, and I know this because I practice, I know that when the teacher is quiet too long, I start to think, hey, did my video go out or something? And then I get out of the flow of being in my yoga. But that doesn't allow me to give you guys space for your own breath, your own thoughts. So find that for yourselves. Even as I continue to try to talk and reassure you that your computer did not freeze. Come on up. Tuck your right toes, lift your right knee, and shoot your left leg back to plank as best as you can. And then shift forward, or you could just lift your hips to down dog, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, pause in up dog or cobra, stretching the front side of your body. And then come on, downward facing dog. Shift forward, high plank, and lower all the way to the ground. Untuck your toes, bend your knees, reach your arms back, and let's go right into floor bow. So reach your arms back, grab your feet on the outside. And if you needed to widen your knees to grab your feet, then bring them back to hip width and push into your hands and lift. Push your feet into your hands and lift whatever you can. Lift whatever you can. Let the kick and the strength of your legs and the strength of your grip help open up your shoulders. You can flex your feet if that feels good. You can keep your feet pointed, whatever feels good. And then release. Let your feet come to the floor, arms alongside your body, palms up, and turn your head to one side. So kind of helping facilitate a neck stretch here. Try to have your ear on the ground. Try to have your shoulders relaxed. Try to create some space in between your shoulder and your chin. And let the breath be as it is. Bow is a pretty intense pose. So a lot of times in this posture, afterwards, this posture that we're in after bow, you really can feel your heart beating on the floor. And here's one more chance. So bring your head back to center, bend your knees one more time. And launch into bow, rise into bow, lift into bow. 5 breaths here. Can be intense. That's okay. One of the ways that you keep from crunching too much in your low back is to really be active in the kick, not only the lift, right? So similar to what we were doing earlier, it's not just about lifting, it's also about lengthening. And then release, arms alongside your body, palms up, turn your head to the opposite side. And same thing, try to get your ear on the ground and your chin off your chest, but you're relaxing the front of your body down. Your chin off your shoulder, I mean. Letting your heart beat. Letting your stomach breathe. Letting this be a beautiful sign that you are alive. You're alive. We are in a pandemic. We're in a pandemic. That's pretty big, guys. But here you are, practicing yoga and breathing. Breathing in a time of a virus that takes our breath away. Don't judge your breath. Be grateful for your breath. Breathe. Come on back to center. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Tuck your toes. Push up. High plank. And lift your hips to downward facing dog. So down dog is a really nice counter pose to back bends. So I really encourage you to feel whether your low back is kind of tweaky here. And if your low back is kind of tweaky, just notice it, right? Because that does happen a little bit, but it also might be an indication that you are going too far, pushing a little bit too far. Drop your knees to the floor. Walk your knees forward a little bit. Actually, walk your feet, knees all the way up to the top of your mat. And separate your feet wider than your hips. Sit down. So we're pretty warm here. You might be feeling this in your knees right now. And if you are, okay, maybe then you stay here, or maybe you even have your hands in front of you. But as some of you have probably done already, maybe you feel warm enough or flexible enough to bring your elbows on the floor behind you, or maybe even lay all the way down. Keep your knees on the mat. Your knees can separate, but you don't want to lift your knees up. It's very stressful on your knees. And yoga is intended to help you honor your body and create strength and longevity, not blow out your joints. So I encourage you, I beg you, please don't lay on the ground because you think that that's the fullest expression of the pose. The fullest expression of the pose is you keeping the integrity of your joints and your ligaments and your muscles and taking the posture, the position, the shape to whatever degree your body's willing to let you do it today. That's the fullest expression of the pose, because if you blow out your knee and crawl off your mat and go call 911, that wasn't a yoga practice, that was a competition. Come on up. And come forward onto your hands and knees. Reposition yourself in the center of your mat. You might shake out your legs a little bit. Let that feel good. And then cross, or come onto your back. So maybe cross your ankles behind you. If you're feeling extra super peppy, you can come to downward facing dog and try to jump through. Anyway, whatever you do, come on to your back. And squeeze your knees in your chest and rock left to right. Maybe allowing your knees to come forward a little bit. And back, allowing the floor to massage your low back a bit. And then bring your right ankle on top of your left knee. Ankle, not foot. Your foot is jutting out beyond your left ankle. And then slide your right hand through the hole. Grab onto either your left shin or the back of your left thigh. So we're doing pigeon on our backs. Try to let your head and your shoulders rest on the floor as you also try to let your back extend so your tailbone is on the floor. Maybe you pull your left leg toward your chest a bit. Maybe you use your right elbow to kind of encourage your right thigh to open a little bit more, pushing your right thigh forward. Maybe you just breathe here. And then release that. Lift both legs up to the ceiling. Bring your arms, palms down by your sides, and kind of rock left to right a little bit so that your palms are slightly underneath your butt. And drop your legs 30 degrees down, so about a third of the way down. I guess a third of the way would technically be like 33 point something. Try to keep your low back on the floor. Drop your feet about a foot off the floor. Try to keep your low back on the ground. Drop your feet all the way down so they touch the floor, tap the floor, and then lift your feet up an inch. So the reason I had you tap the floor is so that you really know that you're really close to the floor. If you want, lift your chest and your head and shoulders. And if you want, lift your arms, reaching towards your feet. Yeah, it's core work. What the heck? Why not? And then bring your legs back up. Bend your knees. Bring your left ankle on top of your right knee. Lift your right leg back up. Slide your left hand through the hole and grab on the outside of your right shin or back of your right thigh. And all of those same things, trying to keep your head and shoulders on the ground as you simultaneously try to elongate your spine onto the ground. Making whatever adjustments you need to feel in your left hip. Or wherever you feel it, right? No judgment on that. Whatever you're doing, you're getting benefit. Whatever you're doing, you're creating flexibility in your body and hopefully in your mind as well. All right, from here, we're going to move into plow. So bring your hands by your sides again, but instead of doing core work, use some momentum to allow your feet and your hips to come up. Everything comes up. Try to get your feet on the floor overhead behind you. You can clasp your hands if your feet are on the ground. If your feet are not on the ground, please have your hands in a supportive position. Really breathing here. Your hands aren't on your back, bring your hands onto your back. Let your weight shift into your hands and your elbows. Come on into shoulder stand. Lift your feet up. We want our bodies to stay healthy as we age. We want our bodies to continue to move and do all of the things that we want them to do. So the practice of yoga is so integral to creating that movement, that flexibility. It isn't about joining Cirque du Soleil. It's about being able to tie your shoes and reach up into the top cabinets. Bring your feet down onto the floor behind you again. Plow. Hands on the floor, on your mat. And roll down. And when you get onto your back, hug your knees in again. And let your left leg go long on the floor. Hug your right knee in. Let's do half happy baby. So take your right foot and grab onto it with both hands. Try to keep your left leg extending long on the floor and pull your right knee down on the outside of your right rib cage. And if you're not feeling much there, maybe grab onto your ankle. And now release that, take a spinal twist. Bring your right knee across your body. Tee out your right arm, look right. Oh, winding down, but letting each posture still ground you, letting your breath deepen this posture. So rather than saying, oh good, we're in the last few minutes of the class. Oh wow, I only have a few more minutes to go. Let me really be present. Let me really take this opportunity to deepen my breath. Come on back center. Right knee hugs in, left knee hugs in. Let your right leg go long, half happy baby. So left solely, your left foot points to the ceiling. Grab onto either your left ankle or either side of your left foot. Bring your left knee outside of your left rib cage and pull your knee down. How's your jaw? Check in with your jaw again. I encourage you to become aware of, first of all, before that, spinal twist. Left knee across your body, tee your left arm out, look left. Become aware of how you're holding your jaw underneath your mask. I think a lot of people are grinding, or maybe even just tensing. So the first step of releasing that is becoming aware of it. Come on back to center. You can hug both knees in again if you want. And then release, Shavasana. Lengthen your legs, lengthen your arms, and just lay flat on the mat. And let it go. This Friday is the beginning of Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. And it's a very contemplative time for Jews around the world. And I have this quote that I want to read to you by a guy named Reb Nachman, who is one of the founders of the ultra-Orthodox Hasidic movement. And he says, first I want to encourage you while you're in child's Shavasana to just take a couple and let your body be heavy and let yourself be present. So if you don't believe in God, then just let that word go in and out of your brain without attaching too much to it. But Reb Nachman said, God Grant me the ability to be alone. May it be my custom to go outdoors each day among the trees and grass, among all growing things, and there may I be alone and enter in and talk with God. And may all the foliage of the field, all grasses, trees, and plants awake at my coming to send the powers of their life into the words of my prayer. It's just 1 o'clock right now, so perhaps begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes, bringing some more movement back into your body. And then in whatever way makes sense for you, come on up to a seated position. You don't need to be in a hurry if you have time. I encourage you to stay longer in Shavasana. But when you get it, please take a moment to find some gratitude. Gratitude that during this acute time of COVID, and my gosh, hopefully we're not going back into it. I know Israel and some other countries just went back on lockdown for 3 weeks. Please, guys, wear your masks, practice social distancing. Let's not close down again. Let's do our part. It's real. Find gratitude that we went through the worst phase of this during the warm months, that we're able to be outside. Gratitude for our breath and our bodies. Gratitude to you guys for showing up on your mat. See you next week. Namaste.